Welcome back to the Better Learning Podcast. This episode is part of a special series we recorded live at PASBO Conference, also known as the Pennsylvania Association of School Business Officials in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania this year. While we were there, we had the chance to sit down with school leaders, business officials, and partners from across the region to talk about what it really looks like to plan, fund, and support today's learning environments. So in this series, you'll hear a real conversation about the trade-offs, the challenges, and the opportunities that come with trying to build better learning environments. Without further ado, let's dive in.
Welcome back to the Better Learning Podcast. I'm here with Joe. Joe, before we start talking about school finance and educational impact, let's get to the most important question here. Better sports town, Pittsburgh or Philadelphia?
I can go put myself out there and say I've been a lifelong Pittsburgh Pirate fan. I actually saw Roberto Clemente play at Forbes Field, Willie Stargell. I was a little kid, so I loved it.
Yeah. How about that? Are you from this area?
My family moved out here in the mid-1960s for a 3 or 4 year period before we moved back to the Philadelphia area.
And Pittsburgh stole your heart.
Hey,
so this is a homecoming of sorts for you.
Yeah, well, my wife and I love also coming out here to visit. You can't beat the Pirates, PNC Park, just the whole vibe, and on the rivers. We enjoy visiting this area.
I'm married a Pittsburgh girl, so I'm very biased, and I live in the city of Pittsburgh, and I love this town. So I'm happy to hear you say that.
Great,
Joe. Tell us a little bit about who you are, where you work, and the type of work you do.
Sure. Well, I'm the Director of Administrative Services with the Chester County Intermediate Unit. I joined them in 2001. I'm the director, I handle obviously all the finances and business, but also facilities, construction, and employee insurance programs, food services, transportation, all those operational areas. Prior to that, I spent about 10 years with the Kennet Consolidated School District in a similar role. And actually, I didn't get into the school arena until I was about 32 years old. Prior to that, I had worked for primarily large law firms in Center City, Philadelphia, doing similar operations and office services type works.
Tell me a little bit about, Joe, because you've had an interesting path to this place here, it sounds like. So tell me a little bit about what an association like this means, but also just a peer community of other school business officials who sit across the state. What are some of the things that you've learned from those folks?
Well, when I joined the Kennet School District in 1992, I was taking over for a man who was quite a good mentor. He had been there 40 years. And, the one thing he said to me, he says that you're going to find that you work hard. These aren't the kind of jobs you can expect to coach your kids' baseball team with, because there's, a lot of night meetings and technology at the time didn't allow you to work remote kind of things. But he says you're going to work with a lot of very nice people, and you never should hesitate to reach out to ask for advice, just some guidance, because the chances are that 10 people have dealt with the same challenges you might be dealing with in any of the responsibilities that we handle. So PASBO, and in our area, it's the Delaware Valley Association of School Business Officials, or DVASBO, very strong allegiance of people. They will pick up the phone, they will stop what you're doing to take your call. They'll spend time with you, and on a personal level, professional, or if people just need to vent, I guess that's part of the value. But also, really in the business side, really vetting ideas, like I said, and it's important that our business partners, as well as our members, recognize that importance of that network. And there's a level of integrity that's paramount across our profession, and we have long memories. So, and that works out to the positive. There's strong. We tend to build strong and forge strong business relationships with different organizations, business partners. But there's also times, unfortunately, things go off the rail, whether it's personalities or just malice, whatever you want to call it. And you remember, that word gets around. So it's definitely a very influential organization. We don't take our influence lightly. I guess we just don't. We're very pragmatic in our approach. We have to understand that transparency is something that we have to really be very conscious of. Again, these organizations are just kind of one of our very, very most important sort of support systems.
It's interesting because I come to matters of school design and student impact and teaching and learning. I come from the classroom side, right? I was a practitioner. I love the craft of teaching. I'm passionate about learning and the magic of those moments.
Yeah.
One thing that I've noticed about folks who sit across from me here, there is I think a profound sense of responsibility that you guys feel as stewards of public, money, of community initiatives at the level of school districts.
That's very true.
Can you talk a little bit about maybe some of those times where you have called upon your peers to help workshop hard questions or, just tap into the wisdom of the group?
Our business is very cyclical, not just on an annual basis, but in an economical basis. And the kind of feeling right now is we're sort of entering a down period for economy for school districts in particular for various reasons, funding reasons, tax-based reasons, and inflationary things. So, that's when we kind of pull together and try to vet some of the better ideas and really try to execute them. It's just not a matter of discussing them or talking about them, having a meeting about the meeting. It's like sort of a timeline and an execution plan to get things off the ground. We have, in our area, for instance, we have developed over the decades one of the most effective collaborative purchasing networks. Literally said to saves our school districts and municipalities tens of millions of dollars a year. And everything from supplies to furniture to tax collection to prescription drug benefits and, fuel products and things like that. And it's not just the work of the intermediate units, it's the work of every school district is actively involved. So, that's an example of trying to maximize resources as best you can. People take the time to do it. It's extra job, but they also understand the positive outcomes and sort of the measurable results from those efforts.
You drew the card here. What do you hope people will someday understand about the role you play in your work? If there was something that maybe you could explain to the lay people who live outside of public education, perhaps, what would you like them to know about the kind of work you do?
Hair on the back of my neck bristles when I hear the phrase, we can't do that because the business office won't let us. The business office says we can't spend the money. It's not our money. But we are generally very, very effective facilitators. We will help you understand the steps you got to take to plan a project, to execute a plan, the legal steps that you have to follow, the timetable, fitting things in and around school years or around school days or, whether it's a technology project, construction project or another initiative. But I hope that the people don't always feel that their business office, just business manager and the related staff sits there.
You're the no guy.
The no guy. Yeah, we aren't the no guys. We're if you really want to do this, if we really want to do it, we got to have a consensus. And we need to lay out a plan with different milestones. And sometimes you have to abandon the plan or certainly adjust it along the way. Yep. So that's kind of what I'd hope that people understand it. Many school business managers spend a lot of time in the buildings. They're in the classrooms. They're in the buildings. They're actively engaged with all levels of district staff. And they have a deep understanding for that. And they know the kids. They know the parents. Particularly smaller districts where they're handling transportation, food services, and they're serving lunches sometimes because of staff shortages. They're manning the depot and the radio because everyone's out driving. They understand the operations.
Joe, before I let you go, because I know you have places to be, I want you to grab one of these fun questions here and just go ahead and read it and react to it.
Okay. The question is, if students were actually in charge of designing schools, what would be the very first thing that would appear in every building? So if I can answer this with a related story. So when I was at the Kennett School District, it was in the 1990s. They experienced a period of tremendous growth. Housing developments going in, families moving in. Every year we were adding modular classrooms, converting storage rooms to classrooms. You get it. We got to a point where one of the particular areas of the school district was growing so fast that the elementary school couldn't handle any more modulars. So we actually, in a very short period of time, we leased the building and we built a kindergarten center. We had a private company build it and, did all that. But in record time, there wasn't time for committees. There wasn't time for a lot of discussion. It was sort of like, we're going to get this done, but this is how we're going to do it. So I was kind of the person who made a lot of those decisions. So I was at home one day with the blueprints and laying on the floor, and my then 7 or 8 year old daughter came in. Okay, so what are you doing, Daddy? I said, well, I'm picking out the colors for the new kindergarten center. Of course, guide colors: blue, gray, white. And she says, Daddy, those colors are really ugly. And I said, yeah, I'm going to go to work. You do it. I came back home, and she had gotten her crayons and markers out, and she had created this whole rainbow of colors, and there was a science to it. Like, you would follow the rainbow, but if you were in the yellow room, you'd follow the yellow path into that room, and and then the red room, and then this, and So I said, let's go with it. So I gave it to the contractor. They installed it, and so many people would come to that building and said, well, what architect came up with this unbelievable system? That let them go on and on. I said, that's my 8-year-old daughter. And so that's the kind of, I think, students, if we give them an opportunity, they kind of know what kind of chair works right and why it works right, because maybe they can reach their crayons better, or maybe they can sit next to people and share some kind of
or they
learning
can wiggle,
school.
for goodness sake.
They
just gotta move.
Yeah, I mean, the not the typical square tables. You can push these together, and we really like it because we're a team. That I think so. I think there would be a lot more creativity if we would give the students some chance, certainly early in the projects too.
Yeah, Joe, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you. Thank you so much for giving us some of your time.
Thank you, Mark.
The Better Learning Podcast is produced by Matt Rogers and edited by Kelly Jones. The views and opinions shared on this podcast are those of the individual speaking and do not necessarily represent the perspectives of their affiliated companies, organizations, or associations.